Welcome back to our channel. On this beautiful, drama-filled day, we are absolutely thrilled to dive deep into the latest, heart-stopping developments unfolding in the chaotic world of Genoa City. Settle in, get comfortable, and let us explore the profound emotional landscapes, hidden secrets, and shocking twists that await our favorite characters today. The suffocating atmosphere of Genoa City has never felt heavier, as the intricate webs of deception, addiction, and forbidden alliances begin to tighten around its most prominent residents. At the absolute center of this impending catastrophe is Nick Newman, a man who has spent his entire life playing the role of the righteous protector and the moral compass of a family entirely devoid of one. However, the crushing weight of constantly shielding his loved ones from their own destructive tendencies has finally shattered his resolve. The relentless psychological warfare between his parents, the agonizing legal battles involving Phyllis Summers and the monstrous Matt Clark, and the profound alienation of his children have driven Nick into a dark, inescapable corner. His desperate decision to enter a specialized rehabilitation facility was supposed to be his salvation, a necessary retreat to rebuild his fractured psyche and conquer his spiraling substance abuse. Yet, the sterile walls of the clinic only served to amplify the deafening roar of his internal demons, pushing him toward a catastrophic breaking point where the pain of sobriety became far more terrifying than the comfort of his addiction. Unable to endure the agonizing process of forced introspection demanded by his therapists, Nick succumbs to the overpowering pull of his darkest compulsions. In a moment of sheer desperation and clouded judgment, he orchestrates a reckless escape from the rehabilitation center, abandoning the only safe haven that could have saved his life. The physical act of fleeing the facility mirrors his profound emotional desire to outrun the overwhelming expectations placed upon him by the Newman legacy. As he slips away into the unforgiving night, the bitter, cold air serves as a harsh reminder of the unforgiving reality he is plunging back into. He is no longer the strong, dependable Newman heir. He is a man entirely consumed by a relentless hunger for oblivion, a tragic figure sprinting toward his own demise. The labyrinthine streets of the city offer no comfort, only a dangerous playground of temptations that eagerly await his highly vulnerable soul, ready to drag him further into the abyss of chemical dependency. Drawn by an inexplicable, almost masochistic magnetic pull, Nick finds himself wandering back toward the sprawling, heavily guarded grounds of the Newman Ranch, the very epicenter of his lifelong trauma. Moving like a ghost through the meticulously manicured gardens, he approaches the grand estate, hiding within the deep shadows cast by the ancient oak trees. The imposing structure stands as a towering monument to his father's ruthless ambition and his family's endless, exhausting cycle of betrayal and reconciliation. Nick approaches the grand, illuminated windows, his heart pounding a frantic, erratic rhythm against his ribs as he peers into the warmth of the opulent living room. What he witnesses inside is a scene so profoundly intimate and jarringly surreal that it paralyzes him entirely, locking his freezing body in a state of silent, agonizing observation while the world crumbles around him. Inside the lavishly decorated living room, bathed in the soft golden glow of candlelight, Victor and Nicky Newman are standing together in a rare moment of profound vulnerability. They are partaking in a private, deeply emotional vow renewal ceremony, a desperate and beautiful attempt to stitch together the torn fabric of their incredibly turbulent marriage. Nicky, having miraculously regained her sight after a terrifying period of total darkness, gazes up at Victor with a complex mixture of enduring love and lingering wariness. The sheer irony of the moment is staggering and entirely unavoidable. These are two people who have recently engaged in the most brutal forms of psychological warfare, with Victor manipulating the entire family and Nicky feigning her blindness to uncover his darkest corporate secrets. Yet, in this incredibly fragile instance, they are pledging their eternal devotion, actively choosing to embrace the toxic, unbreakable bond that has defined their chaotic existence for decades. For Nick, watching this tender display of enduring love from the outside is a devastating, insurmountable psychological blow. Standing in the freezing darkness, shivering violently from both the dropping temperature and the agonizing withdrawal symptoms ravaging his nervous system, he is struck by the profound tragedy of his own absolute isolation. His parents, despite all their monstrous flaws, ruthless machinations, and unforgivable transgressions have each other. They possess a love that somehow survives the most catastrophic emotional storms. Nick, conversely, is entirely alone. His romantic life a barren, scorched wasteland of broken promises and shattered trust. The haunting memories of Phyllis choosing a dangerous, manipulative criminal over her own family echo loudly in his mind, reinforcing his deep-seated, agonizing belief that he is fundamentally unlovable and destined to suffer in silence. The radiant warmth spilling from the ranch window only accentuates the freezing, desolate void within his own heart, pushing him violently toward the edge of reason. Overwhelmed by a tidal wave of grief, crippling jealousy, and profound self-loathing, Nick turns his back on the Newman Ranch and flees blindly into the darkest, most dangerous corners of Genoa City. The brief glimpse of his parents' romantic reconciliation does not inspire a shred of hope. Instead, it acts as the final devastating catalyst for his complete surrender to the abyss. The addiction that has been patiently clawing at the fragile edges of his sanity finally breaches the gates, consuming his mind and body entirely. He plunges headfirst into a dangerous downward spiral, seeking out the darkest elements of the city to secure the illicit substances that will numb his excruciating emotional pain. The former golden boy of the Newman Empire is now a desperate, shattered soul, wandering blindly through a perilous underworld, actively courting disaster in a tragic attempt to silence the agonizing noise echoing in his mind. The sudden and alarming disappearance of Nick from the rehabilitation facility sends immediate, terrifying shockwaves through the upper echelons of the Newman family network. When the devastating news finally reaches Victoria Newman, the formidable corporate titan is struck by a rare, paralyzing wave of pure panic. Despite her ruthless business acumen and her recent, highly controversial complicity in her father's dark machinations, Victoria harbors a deep, unwavering love for her brother. The realization that Nick is out on the dangerous streets, highly vulnerable and actively consuming lethal narcotics, shatters her stoic, impenetrable exterior. She understands all too well the fatal, irreversible consequences of unchecked addiction, and the terrifying prospect of losing her brother forces her to instantly reevaluate her entire worldview. The corporate wars and the endless pursuit of financial power suddenly seem entirely meaningless and hollow when compared to the fragile, hanging thread of Nick's life. In a shocking and entirely unprecedented turn of events, Victoria realizes that she cannot possibly save Nick alone, prompting her to seek out the one person she has spent her entire life despising and battling, Adam Newman. The bitter, deeply ingrained rivalry between the two Newman siblings is legendary across the corporate world, characterized by years of mutual sabotage, corporate espionage, and profound emotional cruelty. However, the catastrophic threat to Nick's life forces them to reluctantly lay down their weapons and forge a desperate, highly uneasy alliance. Adam, who is intimately familiar with the dark, suffocating grip of personal demons and the isolating nature of the Newman legacy, instantly recognizes the extreme gravity of the situation. He knows the dark alleys, the hidden corners, and the dangerous underbelly of the city far better than Victoria ever could, making him an indispensable, albeit highly volatile, asset in the frantic race against time to locate their spiraling brother. The collaboration between Victoria and Adam is a tense, emotionally volatile endeavor, fraught with decades of unspoken resentments and incredibly fragile trust. As they frantically scour the city's underbelly, navigating through seedy motels and dangerous forgotten neighborhoods, they are forced to confront the toxic family dynamics that have driven Nick to this desperate, life-threatening point. Adam's street-smart pragmatism clashes violently and frequently with Victoria's desperate need for absolute control, yet their shared, agonizing fear for Nick binds them together in a profound display of familial loyalty that neither expected to feel. They are no longer corporate adversaries fighting for their father's elusive approval. They are a brother and a sister, united by a terrifying, singular mission to pull their sibling back from the absolute brink of death. The immense emotional weight of this unprecedented partnership highlights the tragic reality that it takes a near-fatal crisis to unite the fractured Newman bloodline. While the Newman family is entirely consumed by the frantic, desperate search for Nick, the corporate landscape of Genoa City is quietly undergoing its own massive, seismic shifts. Sally Spectra, heavily pregnant and drowning in a suffocating sea of anxiety, finds herself navigating an incredibly treacherous path fraught with hidden dangers. The catastrophic fallout from Billy Abbott's manic, obsessive spiral has left her feeling profoundly unsafe, completely alienated, and terrified for her future. Billy's relentless, unhinged pursuit of Chancellor's dark secrets, fueled by the sheer terror of his recent federal indictment, has transformed him into a volatile, unpredictable force that threatens to destroy everything in his path. Terrified for the safety of her unborn child, and desperate to secure her own professional survival, Sally realizes she must take drastic, highly secretive measures to protect Spectra Charles from the impending collateral damage of Billy's impending corporate war. Driven by a primal, undeniable instinct for self-preservation, Sally initiates a highly secretive, emotionally charged negotiation with Adam Newman. The dimly lit boardroom where they meet is thick with the heavy, suffocating ghosts of their shared past, most notably the tragic, unspoken grief over the devastating loss of their baby, Ava. Every cautious glance, every carefully chosen word between them is heavily laden with a complex, dizzying mixture of lingering affection, profound regret, and stark business pragmatism. Sally is demanding a new, ironclad arrangement, a secret deal that will entirely insulate her company from the destructive shockwaves of the Abbott-Newman warfare. Adam, despite his own precarious corporate position and the looming, terrifying threat of Victor's wrath, finds himself inexplicably drawn to Sally's fierce determination and vulnerability. Their intense negotiation transcends mere corporate strategy. It is a desperate, emotionally exhausting dance of survival between two deeply scarred individuals who understand each other's darkness intimately. Meanwhile, across the sprawling city, an equally shocking and incredibly fragile truce is being forged between two men whose lives have been irrevocably shattered by a singular, devastating revelation. Billy Abbott and Kane Ashby, bitter, lifelong rivals who recently discovered they are biological brothers, are forced to confront the agonizing reality of Jill Abbott's terminal illness. The immense, crushing weight of their mother's impending death and the highly controversial, shocking terms of her secret will compel them to lay down their arms and establish a temporary, highly precarious ceasefire. This fragile peace treaty miraculously allows Billy to finally solidify his footing at Chancellor Industries, progressing his leadership role within the company, just as the storm clouds of his federal indictment gather ominously on the horizon. It is a hollow, deeply unsettling victory, tainted by the bitter taste of lifelong betrayal and the terrifying uncertainty of what the future holds for the fractured Chancellor legacy. As the various warring factions of Genoa City fiercely maneuver through their respective crises, a mysterious new element arrives, threatening to ignite the already highly volatile atmosphere. The highly anticipated debut of Marie Kirkland sends immediate, chilling ripples of unease through the community. Stepping out of the shadows and into the neon-lit streets, Marie is an enigmatic, captivating figure shrouded in absolute secrecy, carrying a quiet, incredibly dangerous intensity. Her arrival in Genoa City is not a mere coincidence. She is desperately seeking a fresh start, but her path is inextricably, fatally linked to the dark, chaotic world of the rehabilitation center she recently left behind. Marie possesses a deep, unsettling understanding of the darkest corners of the human psyche, and her sudden presence in the city acts as a dangerous catalyst for those already teetering dangerously on the edge of reason. The true, unadulterated horror of Marie Kirkland's arrival lies in her profound, deeply toxic connection to the spiraling Nick Newman. She is the very woman he found a dangerous, codependent solace with during his brief, failed stint in rehab. A fellow shattered soul who understands his agonizing pain all too well. As the night deepens and a relentless howling storm begins to batter the city, Marie navigates the treacherous underworld, her eyes scanning the deep shadows for the man she has become dangerously obsessed with. The suspense reaches an agonizing, breathless crescendo as Victoria and Adam race frantically against the clock, desperately following a trail of dangerous breadcrumbs to find their brother before it is entirely too late. In a chilling, heart-stopping final moment, Nick is seen slumped in a dimly lit, rain-slicked alleyway, his life hanging by the thinnest of threads, as a solitary, shadowed figure steps out of the thick fog. Whether it is his desperate siblings arriving to save him, or the mysterious Marie appearing to pull him forever into the beautiful, deadly embrace of their shared addiction, remains a terrifying mystery, leaving the ultimate fate of the Newman heir balancing precariously on the sharpest edge of a razor.